Okay.
How's it going, Jorri? You enjoy that performance today?
I did indeed. I thought that was something that's left our club a long time ago, but clearly there's some life left in this corpse.
So can you sit here and say you can't smile without Tottenham?
Well, tonight we could say it at least, you know. So, but no, it was good to see. I kind of completely agree with your points there. I have to say, though, I have to kind of blow my own whistle here. Nobody's going to tell me that Ants is not following me closely on social media. Because I did a video with Barnaby, and we were kind of before the game yesterday, and we were kind of speculating what we could do and how we should go about it and stuff like that. And I actually came up with the solution that we should maybe start using the fullbacks to create a midfield overload rather than offensive overload, you know, to both shore up the defense and to fix this midfield problem that we've been having for so long, you know. And when you know it, we had a midfield overload with a fullback tonight, you know, and Odeberg, who played more of he was in the offensive part of it. He was kind of not going. He was almost playing like Kulusevski plays his wing role a little bit, like going into an almost 10 role as well, which I thought was really, really good to see. And these are kind of the tweaks that need to happen constantly, you know, like the thing with the fullbacks, you know, going in as strikers is long you know, sussed out, and people are ready for it and have answers for it. You know, we can create other overloads. We can do other things. We can use the fullbacks, especially when we're always having, you know, the ball over into completely open space in our own half, you know, because there's no fullback there because he's in the other end of the pitch usually. Then this is definitely a very viable solution, I think. So I was super happy to see it because, even though I was super happy to see the performances from the guys, I was most surprised and happy to see that tactical tweak, which did a lot for this game. I think that was what kind of, because the only chance, we always knew that they were going to sit back and they were going to try and do us on the break, you know, try and counter us. And normally, if we was playing the way we've played for way too long, that would have been much more viable than it was tonight. Also, like you talked about, and I agree with you, Ben, for me, Bergwall was the player of the match, you know. So also, of course, just Bergwall's amazing performance in midfield also added to that even more, you know. But it just, all of it kind of gelled from the midfield, and because it took a little bit of time for the offense to kind of unlock it, you know. And when you have that strong midfield, you get the time, you have the time, you know. So yeah, I was super happy to see that, and also like Odeberg, like I've always liked when I've seen him, and tonight he kind of came fully out of the closet as the silky smooth player that he is, you know. And it's clear to see how amazing his technique is, and he's quite quick, you know. He's actually quicker than I remembered him, and I was impressed at how cold, you know, how much nerves of steel he showed in those moments, you know. It was not really easy goals, you know. He had to do his thing, and he did it. So I was really happy with that. And I also, Danny, good to see you, Danny, back on the channel.
Thank you, Jorri. It's nice to see you as well. It's been a while, my friend.
Yes, I was happy seeing also Sonny looking more like the old Sonny. He started off a little bit, you know, a little bit rusty, but
I agree.
before the game, I just saw and I got this feeling that Sonny's locked in. He's on a mission tonight.
I said the exact same thing on the watch.
Yeah, really.
Just before,
yeah, he did.
Yeah, because and also a thing with Sonny, when he's really determined, it takes him, and just in general, both it can be over weeks with losing his touch and finding it. It's kind of like he's such a fine-tuned machine that, you know, just a little bit off, it goes completely off. But when it clicks, then he becomes unplayable, you know, and he's getting there. He's not quite there yet, you know. It would be fantastic if he could peak now in the Frankfurt game, you know. So that would be, and also I totally agree with you guys. We really need to wrap these guys in cotton and make sure nothing happens to them before that game. You know, we definitely need to prioritize the Premier League late games. Yeah,
I think they're so integral to the way we played tonight, and it shows that the massive drop when they're not, when all those, I think that starting 11 when they are playing that right now, I think it's the best team. And that's my worry, is that if one of those players gets injured, especially one of the centre backs, or even someone like Bergvall right now, because I think he's the best midfielder at the club at this moment, central midfielder.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Jorri, would you say then right now Bergvall is maybe best suited for the number 6 based on our current midfielders and their form that they're showing us?
I would flip it around a little bit, Danny. I would say Bergvall is our best number 6.
Yeah.
So that's maybe not his best role, but he is the best in that role at our club. You know?
I agree with that completely.
But maybe, I mean, I don't think he's worse as a 6 than as an 8. You know, so at least tonight he was amazing. Of course, there was that mistake, but this is kind of the stuff. Like I have no grief. This is an 18-year-old guy, like Odeberg. How old is he? Like 21 or something, you know?
Yeah.
So
really
this
young.
is the kind of stuff that you have to expect and have to forgive with young players like this, you know. It was a pressure moment. It was completely the wrong decision, but, you know, he made up for it in every other way, you know. And
that's true.
Yeah. So it's worse when you see structural stuff and your senior players basically not being able to hit a simple pass and stuff like that. Then there's something worse going on, you know, and that we've seen way too much of that this season, you know. So so it really surprised me. I thought we would win tonight, but I actually predicted the score on
I did as well.
Video,
I said 3-1 as well.
But I wasn't expecting any kind of. I wasn't expecting to be impressed by the performance, even though I thought we were gonna win. But I was impressed. I was happy with it. So yeah.
Jorri, does it concern you about, you know, when Van der Ven went off today? You know, we did look a little bit ropey, and you know.
Yeah, that's another point. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's so clear that Van der Ven's recovery is so integral to it, but also even him, carrying the ball out of defense as a part of the transition is also very important. Also, another thing, that's another tip that I'll give Ans that. I didn't tell Ans to do that maybe, but I said in the Barnaby video that we are very much missing Romero's vertical line splitting passes, and we got a couple of those, maybe 3 or something. Some of them were better than others, but just the fact that you have Romero doing those passes means that the defense now has another added thing to be worried about. You know, when he's not there, then nobody is really doing those passes, and it's not. It makes it easier for the defense knows what's coming. Then, you know, so yeah, I was really, and just in general, I don't know if you noticed this, but the amount of dynamic movement in the whole team, in the whole game. It was not that they were running more or sprinting more or anything. They were just always rotating, always finding space and stuff like this, which we've seen so little of. This is one of the things that frustrates me the most, is to watch them just stand in their little box, run against the wall, come back, run against the wall, come back. And that, I think, that's often stuff you see that from teams that have a ideological kind of approach. The coach is a hardcore system manager, and we have one of those.
Yeah.
Then the players kind of often kind of check out with their own decision making, I think we've seen too much of that. Yeah.
Just to add on that, Jorri, to ask you this, do you think it is because that the players, because what I see is when Romero and Van de Ven are not playing, when they are playing, you could see what you said about they're passing it through the lines, they're a lot more confident. The players seem that it feels like they are allowed to be more themselves, or they feel like more themselves, and it allows them to play that way that we kind of saw with that intensity, that conviction, that safety net behind them. It's like it's like they feel that, oh, don't worry, we've got Van de Ven and Romero behind us, that we're good. But it's like as soon as one of them is not playing, it's like you see the sideways passes, the backward passes to the keeper all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think it is really because of them two players?
No, I completely agree, and I think it's because they've been stung so many times by the integral weakness of the system, which is the lob over, which is the massive amounts of space that the fullbacks leaves behind them, So they themselves are always worried that this is coming next, But with a Van de Ven, any kind of lob over is recoverable because he is so freaking amazing in speed and also in tackling. His tackling is just as good as his speed, So
I agree.
So yes, then the rest of the team now start to exactly express their role more freely and so on, And I think also, I think when you have this kind of partnership that Romero and Van de Ven have, you start your transition or your offensive move, you start that with something that's very, even though Van de Ven isn't that old, he's still kind of a senior experienced guy. So you started off with something that's very, usually has a little bit of a depth to the thinking behind it, so it can evolve. Even if the pass doesn't come off perfectly, then it's not going to put it into danger or whatever. And this is what younger players lack. They'll try the pass that the coach told them to do, but they underestimate the risk that is in that moment, or and so on and so on. So you start off, your first move in your offensive move is a really solid move based on their experience, and then you go from there, and that gives the next line, Then maybe Madison takes it. Madison is another one with experience and has seen various, outcomes of moves before. So he is also quite good at kind of predicting what the dangers can be in the next forward move. So, and Madison, by the way, was really, really good as well. He showed a lot of good things. I was a little bit disappointed seeing Porro getting hustled off the ball. I think Porro is one of our best servants. He's one of the most professional guys in the club, and he's also one of an amazing shot. So I think he should definitely have his free kicks when they are in his area. So, but like I can. It's also like the third goal, which was absolutely amazing, and which was basically classic Ants ball goal. The whole move, That's also that. I loved it. I freaked out. But
we did here as well, Jorri.
It was a great goal.
But at the same time, I was a little bit annoyed because this is a little bit the utopian football. You're trying to go for some kind of masterpiece. for the whole football, that if anything goes off by the slightest, the whole thing tumbles down, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not a viable strategy. But it's definitely patterns you want to. This is like early Pep versus Pep, later Pep. I would say, you know, it's like trying to copy the magical Barcelona team, or just being dog determined to get it over the line. You know, that's kind of the difference in kind of approaches there. So yeah, it was gorgeous. I freaked out, but as soon as I was done freaking out, I was also a little bit, but you know, this is what we tried 2,000 times and it doesn't come off, you know.
That's the problem. It's not
Jorri, where are you at now then with Ange? Has your opinions changed at all after that game?
No, it hasn't. I mean, if he kept tweaking it like this, it would change, you know, because I don't think, I mean, I in general, I'm not the biggest system fan, you know. I'm much like, give me Ancelotti over Klopp any day, or so on, you know. Like, I do like the kind of pragmatism, and I also do like where you put it a little bit on the players to evolve and express themselves, you know. And we have players that can definitely become superstars in that role. Like Deki is a player that needs to have that kind of a space to grow, you know. And so, but I do feel like, and I'm kind of slightly wondering if Matt Walsh is playing a bigger and bigger part in all of this, you know, because I see Ange now conferring more and more in game with him, where I never saw it before, you know. But this is kind of starting to be regular now. So I'm kind of thinking that he's starting to be a factor in the in-game situations now. So
it's possible. I did notice that a little bit during the game, that he was kind of communicating with him a lot more.
Yeah, and I saw it last game as well, and I think the game before that as well. So, but which is a good thing. I mean, that's great, you know, to use the people that you have and all of that. So I'm happy to have him change my mind. That would be fantastic.
That's what we all want, Jorri. That's what we all want, because I think people confuse it too much. Like, a lot of people, the narrative around maybe people in the comments and social media, oh, you're Ange out, so you want us to lose, and you want this, and you want that. All we want is the best for Tottenham Hotspur, right? And if Ange can win and change our mind, that's what we all want.
Yeah, but Ben and Danny, listen, there's so many fans that don't lie over, they don't spend their whole week lying over the various evidence and going through everything, and they are just there for the feeling, and they really do believe that it's just a question of believing hard enough, then it'll all go through. And if it doesn't go through, if we don't win anything, it's because we didn't believe hard enough. But folks, it's not that way it works, you know. There's other factors there, like tactics, like strategy, like recruiting, like money spent, like
I mean, we don't even have a full medical team. We've still got job applications on LinkedIn for a medical team.
Exactly. So. But this is where I would say Ange's tenure is not wasted at all. Even if it goes and he gets fired and we don't get any joy from Europa League and whatever. And the same I would say with Conte and Mourinho and stuff. And it's kind of the slow evolution that's kind of unearthing all the systemic issues in the club, and slowly revealed. I mean, we've seen now that there's a lot more people that are aware of what Levy Outers have been touting for years and years now than ever before. And for me, the goal is not to get Levy out and then everything is fixed. Not at all. Levy can stay for me. I just want these things. I want football to be run at the maximal football possibility that we can. Levy can do his thing with the commercial side. I just want it to be a through and through professional club. And for me, it's clear that it's a corporation. And with that corporation, there's a lot of imposters in the football side of things, in staffing, in coaches, maybe sometimes, whatever. and players sometimes as well, and so on. We just need to be one of these clubs that whatever level we're at, we need to run it at the best of our budget's capability. And then I'll be a happy guy, you know. But I don't think we're there. But I do think Ans has both helped with his own experience, because he has experience around that stuff for sure, and I do think he has useful input in that. He's also helped some of the youngsters develop quite nicely, I think. I don't think many people point to Deki as one of those. Deki being a really good friend of mine, you know, from Italy, I put that on Deki himself. Deki is completely in charge of his own.
Deki wouldn't be the player without that interaction with the Joracle.
No way.
No, of course not. But yeah, like I said, I do think I do think Ans can still help in this regard. But to be honest, like Barnaby asked me a similar question on one of his videos, and I said, if you gave me the carte blanche to kind of try and fix the club, I would probably at this moment put Paratici in a sporting director role with full control.
Yeah.
Levy can set the budget, that's fine, but actual full control and staffing from the ground up, staffing everything from new. And then I would actually be on board with getting Potts back to regain that synergy that he created originally, because we have to understand also Tottenham now, with the Tottenham that we now miss, is the Tottenham that Potts created. It's not the Tottenham before that. It's not the Tottenham. It's that modern version which we want to get back, because now we've lost it. Now we're talking about getting back to being a top of the league type club, you know, being regularly in Champions League and so on. Well, like talking about titles and stuff like that, that's not in the picture anymore. Now we just need to stop the bleeding, basically. So
it's funny you mentioned Poch there, because Poch was actually talking about Spurs today.
Yeah.
And
really, what did he say?
Yeah, he's talking about how he's got unfinished business there, and he was saying that. Well, I'll read you the quote. I'll read you the quote, and he said, "To be honest, the day that I left the club, I always thought that one day I would come back. I felt the moment that I left, I had unfinished business, and that's what it is, a dream. For sure, it's a club that is always going to be special for me, and I would like one day to have the possibility again to finish in a different way."
Yeah, I mean, and that's also another thing is like there's not going to be another manager in this world that's going to bleed Tottenham like Potts is going to do. You know, there's nobody that loves us more than Potts, and I'm not going nostalgia, guys. Even though I love the guy and I would love to see a happy ending and all of that, but I'm just saying Potts' knowledge of Tottenham is more than anybody. Like, so if anybody could come in and fix these systemic issues, I think it would be a Paratici, because he's an elite sporting director guy. And Potts is an elite coach who has this deep knowledge about our club. So I think these two guys could transform the club, to be honest.
I wish we could bring back the dream team of Paul Mitchell. Just go and get him from Newcastle, bring back Poch, and then just get rid of Lange and get rid of Ange, and then see what happens. But
I would also say, by the way, because Lance has gotten a lot of stick, you know, and I'm very happy with Lance's recruiting. But it did now come out with this January that he is very underwhelming in the negotiations and stuff like that. So you know, in terms of like Lance should almost be like a scouting director rather than a sporting director. You know,
I said, Jorri, I said bring in Fabio Paratici to oversee everything, but keep Lange as like the kind of youth,
the sporting director.
Leave as the youth recruitment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's spot on. You know, I don't think that Lance is an issue as such, but he's not that leader that a sporting director needs to be.
Yeah, he seems too placid, like his.
Yeah, and I don't think he has the vision and stuff. You put Paratici in there, and give him full reins. He has a vision for what the club should be, you know, and that's what we need, you know. And the same with Poch, you know. Not only would Poch have the vision, but he also would understand everything that comes with it, and the history and the fan base and so on and so on, you know. Like Ants, how badly did Ants misread this fan base at the start, and really a couple of times, you know. And so even though he's front foot football and in many ways would fit Tottenham DNA, he still doesn't have that understanding of the fan base, you know. And I don't think he will ever get it, to be honest.
Jorri, do you think Pochettino would come back while Levy is still at this club?
That's yes. I think Pochettino would come back. Do I think Levy wants to face all of his prior misdeeds towards Pochettino? No, that's the last thing.
I think they'll both do it. I genuinely believe they'll both do it.
Well, I think Levy will do it to save his skin. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly why he would do it. I think he's been trying to rectify his mistake of sacking Poch since then. Like he said in the documentary, he said only time will tell whether it's a good decision to sack him or not. And I think he's probably looking back at it now and thinking it was the worst decision he's ever made as a Tottenham chairman. And we know he's made some pretty awful decisions over the years. But I think that's probably the worst one. Rather than actually put the money where your mouth is and back Pochettino, who what he should have done, he ended up getting rid of him.
It's the most costly decision that he's made.
I agree.
For the fan base and for himself as well, but because his brand now is taking a bit of a tumble, and that's basically after years of this kind of mismanagement, you know. So
it's the constant churning of different managers and different systems and different players, and spends hundreds of millions with not a set idea of a philosophy of how he want to play football. And we've gone from attacking to defensive and just attacking again.
This also that's what I mean about the Tottenham that we miss now is the Tottenham that Poch created. It's like that Poch created this global powerhouse that was this most sexy, like Tottenham under Poch was grabbing all the headlines in Iceland, in Copenhagen. Like that was the games that you wanted to hear about. That was what made the highlights on the news after the news and stuff like that, because it was electric and everything about it was electric. And now they created the stadium as well and so on. So everything fits that evolution, but the football has regressed enormously, you know.
Jorri, always a pleasure.
Before Jorri goes, I want to ask you one quick question, Jorri.
Okay.
Was Dominic Solanke's back heel, was it a mistake or did he mean it, that pass to Odebear?
I don't think it was a pass. It was an attempt at a shot. Yeah,
that's what.
I agree.
Now we've settled that, Jorri.
Jorri's spoken now. That's it. No one else gets to answer that question.
Big up, Jorri. Thanks for coming on.
Lovely to see you,
Great
Jorri.
seeing you guys. Take care, boys.
Take care, Jorri.